We just got a shocking new report. XRP ETFs are on their way. That's why I'm making this Red Alert movie today for all of you great people. There are, however, a lot of other really interesting things going on in the markets right now that I wanted to share with you guys as well. To be honest, some of the things I was seeing were a little scary, especially what I'm about to show you about insiders and what they're doing with their stocks. Mostly tech stocks, which we know have a strong relationship with cryptocurrencies when it comes to price changes and overall success. I only have a minute to talk about this. It's clear that US business leaders are selling stocks faster than ever before. The amount of insider buyers to sellers dropped to 0.22, which is the lowest level since records started in 1988. This is less than the record's low of 0.24 and 0.25 set in 2020 and 2021. 2021, if we look at this chart, you can see that this is the lowest amount it has been since records began in 2018. And I wish we had much higher levels to see what they were like in 2008 and 2009. Unfortunately, we can't see that information because it wasn't being tracked at that time. I mean, this is probably good for business insiders because many people would have sold much earlier during the financial crisis if they could see this data now. The main thing this data tells us is that things are looking a lot like they did in 2021. I mean, look at the drop in buyers we saw here in 2021, according to sellers inside the company. The same thing is happening now in 2025. What does this mean to me? It sounds like a lot of people who work for companies are saying they believe the markets are too high right now and would rather sell their shares for cash than keep the stocks they were keeping. Now, you can look at this in a lot of different ways since we are still setting new records. Who is making all of these price changes? Well, I do know one thing for sure. There are a lot more small players in the space now than there were 6 months ago. This is something that everyone who has been interested in cryptocurrency for the past 2 years can say without a doubt. Because so many people watch my films, I can say for sure that this is true. You can tell that people are much more interested in cryptocurrencies now than they were 2 or 3 months ago. I believe that some company insiders are using retail investors as a way to get money out of the business. Plus, I believe that big banks are selling and buying at smart times right now to get rid of a lot of futures positions and make quick cash. We're seeing that business insiders and institutions are swing trading to make money off of the mistakes that new retail buyers make. Even though I'm making money at this time, this still worries me and I wanted to bring it to your attention. They're using the way the market works and how people think about it to make money off of you guys. That's what I see now. In other news, Trump is also putting taxes on goods, which are going to have a big effect on the world economy. We all saw yesterday that Trump said he would put 25% taxes on goods from both Canada and Mexico. His words meant that those fees would start to apply on February 1st. He also said that they might grow over time. He changed his mind about that about 15 hours after making the news, though, which he made this morning, saying that he's now delaying the start of the 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico from February 1st to March 1st, as Trump and cabinet officials have said, when they want these taxes to go into effect is already being pushed back. The problem with tariffs is that the person or thing you are putting them on can also reply with tariffs. It turns into a game of chicken where both sides say, okay, we're going to raise tariffs. People will be mad because we're going to raise taxes, which will lead to political unrest. There is a net win for Trump in a trade war with Canada. We have a great trade partner that I think is good for both of us. So there's no big gap here. The US gets oil from Canada, cleans it up, and then sells it back to Canada and the rest of the world. The US actually gets a lot out of this deal. Canada could easily build their own oil plants and sell the oil themselves, but instead they give it all to the US, which makes the US a lot of money. Putting taxes on Canada isn't a good idea. That's why I said that. Mexico is a little easier for me to understand because of the drug gangs and other problems there, but I don't think that's a good idea with Canada because of how much oil they supply. It will cause inflation on both sides. Trump can buy more oil from Saudi Arabia or Russia if he wants to, but I think he probably doesn't want to deal with those two countries too much right now because of other problems he is having with them in international politics. That being said, Trump is not only threatening 25% tariffs, he is also threatening 100% taxes on BRICS countries if they try to use their own money instead of the US dollar. I understand that, and I do think it's silly. He's basically saying, yeah, no one will do business with you, and I won't do business with you either if you join BRICS and try to replace the US dollar. It will be very interesting to see how they talk about this. This does seem like a rather mean thing to do. It basically says, you know what? Let us do what we want. We won't trade with you if you don't, and you won't be a part of the world's biggest market. A lot of countries will probably try to deal with the US even less because of this, I think. I haven't seen how this is going to turn out yet. It doesn't look like it's going to go very well. When Americans' prices start going up for everything because they buy so many imports, I don't think these taxes will last long. In the long run, it probably won't be a good game. You may be the world reserve right now, but they will find a way to do business with someone else if you ruin all of their business relationships and they no longer want to do business with you. Which means he's taking a big risk here. And I do believe that if it is played badly, it will speed up the fall of the United States of America. What Elon Musk says now is that there won't be any inflation in 2026 if the US Department of Government Efficiency cuts $4 billion in spending every day. That is a very interesting thing to say. I mean, this is also assuming that the Federal Reserve doesn't print any money. With the trade wars going on right now, I think it's more and more likely that they will have to print money to, get themselves out of the liquidity crisis they're likely to be in. It would be fine if there was no inflation in 2026. According to every expert who has ever lived, you do want a little inflation. It's thought that inflation of no more than 2.2% is good. This is because deflation is very bad for economies and slows down everything. When deflation happens, the value of your dollar goes up while the prices of goods and services go down. As a result, people stop buying. This is happening right now in China, if you want to see a real life version of it. People aren't buying anything because there is a huge amount of deflation happening because population is falling. There is less desire for goods and services, and there are two goods and services. They're looking for a better deal. They say, I'm not going to buy because I know the prices will go next week. I know that prices will drop in 2 weeks. Because of this, I'm not going to buy, which has the really bad effect of freezing markets because no one wants to buy because they're just waiting for prices to keep going down. In the long run, this is very bad because people don't spend any money because they have no reason to. They're basically encouraged to keep all of their money and not sell it or use it to buy anything. Also, it's not good for a lot of stocks or cryptocurrencies. That's why I don't think the goal should be no inflation at all. And any analyst who has looked into this will be able to tell you that. Inflation going down is a good thing. It would be great to have 2% inflation instead of 6% inflation. That's a great goal to have. It's not possible to have very little inflation or deflation, but that's also not what you should be trying to achieve. Elon Musk's goal of this kind of shows that he doesn't really understand how economies work that well. He knows a lot about business, but not so much about economics. Having said that, President Trump now says that he is also putting new taxes on China. Just like that, Trump dropped another huge shock. I'm not sure with all of these taxes, I don't know what will happen. As I said, it could go a few different ways, but he's being threatened everywhere. The trade game affects everyone. Tariffs are a possibility whether you are a good trade partner with the US or Okay, so I agree that this is making Trump less and less liked around the world. I'm Canadian, and I think it's stupid for him to put taxes on Canada. If he keeps them up, we'll probably try to build our own refineries and sell our oil somewhere else. Also, this makes it less likely that other countries will want to do business with the US. On top of that, countries will no longer want to use the US dollar as a backup currency. I think Trump needs to be smart and careful because if he keeps acting this way, every country will join BRICS and not care what the US says or does. If they want to use military force, they'll have to deal with pretty much the whole. Okay, having said that, I know this is the news you've all been waiting for. This is an ETF. Okay, so Grayscale and a few other companies have also applied for an XRP